Welcome to another episode of the Urban Wall Street Project. I'm your host, Earl Christian III, of course. And today I have another amazing show. I have an incredibly accomplished, incomparable woman. She's done some phenomenal things, and we're going to talk about them in a moment. But without further ado, I want to get right into it and introduce you to the amazing Miss Elizabeth Ewell.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Earl. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening.
Yeah. Now, of course, I want to recognize the fact that, you're the CEO and founder of EME International, so we're going to talk about that. But I also want to quickly, just read a couple of things so people know. I want you to understand what the woman has done, and she's very accomplished. She's a recent notable achievement. She's the 2005 recipient of the Westie Awards on behalf of Greenkeepers for accomplishments that help improve neighborhoods on Manhattan's West Side. And Westie is the West Side Thanks You Award for
It certainly is. It's given by the chamber over there that recognizes people that have done positive things for the West Side.
Right. And then, of course, we have the U.S. Chamber of Commerce 2001 Service Award for the Niles Communications Group.
Which was a company I was with at the time that put together a great marketing plan for a client.
Okay. And then, of course, and this is, I love it because, I'm all about my education. She increased student enrollment and community awareness for State University of New York's Manhattan Educational Opportunity Center.
That was a challenge. That's something that really made me feel good. It gave that center an identity and a brand and let people find them, located right there on 125th Street.
And that's a beautiful, I just wanted to definitely recognize a few things, and there's a variety of affiliations. We have the National Association for Female Executives, National Chamber of Commerce for Women, as I said, American Management Association, as well as a past member of Distripris Congress. Now, as we were talking a little bit before camera, I was like, Distripris, that was the first time, as much as I read, that I've seen that word or heard of it. So for my audience, let them know what Distripris Congress is.
What Distripris is a meeting place for publishers, international publishers from countries all over the world that put out books, magazines mainly, and books. It is an industry secret where publishers and distributors can get together, talk about the market, what's happening in their markets, and plan for the future.
Okay. Now, those are amazing things, so I'm happy, and I had to just put a little spotlight on those to let them know. But we're going to get into it and talk about it because one of the biggest, I would say, obstacles that a lot of people have to face and deal with and overcome, and make sure they have it intact before they really go out there and become that business person they want to be, is marketing. So we entitled this Marketing 101, so we're going to get into it and talk about it, and I know that's near and dear to your heart.
It certainly is.
Again, you've been in marketing and publishing. Now, one thing I was impressed before I go into you worked with Time Warner.
I worked with Warner before it became Time Warner, when it was still Warner Communications. I was there in the beginning when it became Warner Communications. I go back far, many years in the publishing industry on the distribution side. So I have these deep, deep roots in an industry that's always been near and dear to my heart.
Okay, so I want to talk about it, Marketing 101. A lot of times when we do educational shows, or I have a professional, an expert from a particular field, I entitle it 101 because, when we're in college, for those of you who don't know, that first class you take is 101,
yes,
where it is. So we're going to call this 101 because we're going to drop science on the people that know it, and the people who want to know it, and then, of course, the people who need to know it if they want to get into business. So I'm going to call this Marketing 101, and I want to just talk about the couple of bullet points. I know you're, in your brochures and work that you do, business ownership and corporations, and we talk about the importance of value of a marketing plan, representing your company, and like talks to like, and who is your customer. Right. So I want to talk about those areas.
Well, I think that one of the major obstacles that business people have, new and startups, is what are they? What type of company they are. We immediately think of the single owner, the mom and pop shops, but we have to open our minds to think about being corporations and LLCs, and understanding that it doesn't mean you have to have 200 people working for you to be an entity, and to be respected as that entity. It allows you to take advantage of things within business that as a single person you can't. The banks look at you differently, organizations look at you, and your peers look at you differently. And the tax man looks at you much
Right, which is
differently.
very important. Now, representing your company, that's so important. When you talk about representing your company, are there certain issues? I know you've been dealt with a lot of individuals and you help people. What's some of the, I should say, one of the mainstream misconceptions or mistakes, miscues, new people, commit when they're representing their company?
I think that first of all, they never understand you have to have that 60-second bite. You have to be able to explain what you are and what you do, or the service that you offer, in a very quick, short phrase, and say it in a way that people understand. Too often it becomes very convoluted, it becomes very fancy, and in the end, you still don't know what they do. They have to have an identity. It's regardless of what service or product that you offer, you as a company offering it has to have an identity. It's more than just saying this is the name of my company. It's carrying it through as a brand, understanding the importance of what people see about your company. New companies, new businesses, they only see their products in most cases or their services, and they don't see how they're representing that service to the market.
Right. Okay. Now, like talks to like. I understand what they, but like talks to like. It sounds self-explanatory, but explain it to a little bit for us.
That is one of my favorite terms, and being that we forget that people are more comfortable with the people that they can talk to. We speak English. We're very comfortable with each other and anyone that speaks English. Not saying that we won't talk to other people, but we immediately gravitate. When you are in business, you have to present yourself to talk to the people that you want to talk to. So if you're looking to go talk to a banker, you can't wear a T-shirt.
Right.
Like talks to like. That banker want to see an individual walking in there in business attire. No matter if it's the same message,
right.
It's the presentation. Like speaks to like is when you need to talk to other companies and have them feel comfortable with what you're saying.
Okay. And then at finale, who is your customer? Very important, right? Who is your customer?
So often companies get started and services are offered, and no one's ever looked at who is the person they want to service. Who are they selling to? They'll give you 100 explanations. They'll give you lots of different reasons of why they're doing it, but they don't identify their consumer base. It takes a little homework. It is not necessarily just the people in the neighborhood. Who is the customer? It's not just your aunt or your uncle or your best friend. And it's not just that company you dream to have as your customer. It's really looking at the real world. Who are you after? What are you offering? And why would they want it?
Right.
Identify your customer.
Very important. And it seemed like that would be critical if you were interested or deciding you were going to go out and seek advertising or sponsors, because they want to know who is your customer and how are you going to sell to them.
Right. Why should they be there with you?
Why should they be there with you during this situation?
But so often, that's not the case.
Okay. Now, I'm going to this next phase because, the leaders of tomorrow, the next generation, are the college students. And I know when I was in college, we get a lot of internships, you learn a lot of things. But the one thing about college is, it's still, a lot of times we're having fun. It's still fun. You have all the privileges and luxuries of being adult without the actual responsibilities. Right. And what sometimes I think happens is maybe students don't always, because I know I can include myself, don't really take advantage of the actual situation of being in college, or they don't really realize the magnitude of where they are and how much they can really get out of it. So for my business students who are marketing, we talk college students, marketing you, because you may not learn, you might take marketing 101 or economics, but there may not be a class called Marketing You 101.
There's not.
So when it comes to Marketing You 101, I know you have 3 bullet points, and then we'll talk about them. You have A, marketing yourself in the real world, which you just expressed, polishing your marketing tool. We're going to find out what tool that may be. And then, of course, owning your job. And I love that ownership is key to me. But we're going to talk about owning your job, because I think some people might be like, own your job, but it's the employers. We're going to clarify exactly what that means.
Let's start with marketing you.
Yes.
Students are not taught how important they are to the sell process. they go to job interviews or they represent a company, and no one said to them that they are the marketing tool, which means you have to polish the tool. You have to look the part, you have to speak the part, you have to act the part. There has to be a change in your mental psyche of, I'm a student today or at this moment, but in an hour, I'm going to go and represent a company because they've hired me.
Right.
It is extremely important that how you look, how you speak, how you behave. And I'm not talking about being very formal and stilted, but being aware of what you say and how you say it. How often we've gone into stores, a clothing store, and the hope there say profanity.
Right.
Or very loud, or something that's really just crude, and it makes you step back. And I'm not just talking about the little store, the little boutique store. I've seen this in major department stores.
And that's so true. I've heard that. I hear people just curse, and it's like, wait a minute, you're at work. And even if we are in an urban community or it's the city, and I look like I'm not offended, you're misrepresenting whether it's whatever the company is. And I don't think people really, it resonates.
It
doesn't resonate.
No one ever speaks to it. It's not a topic that's brought up. They'll tell you how you should learn marketing in the book, how you should write the paper about it, but they don't get to the core. And the core is you have to take all that knowledge and present it. How are you going to present it? You can get the job, but how do you keep the job? How do you advance in it? How do you start your own company? What makes you able to sell your idea for your company? It's how you market you. And how you put the package together. And again, I'm not saying you should change your style per se, but you have to polish it.
That's right.
You can't go in there like you're the student going to a class or the student going to a lunch.
Right.
You are a business person, no matter what the title is. You're a file clerk, you're a business person.
That's right.
You're an assistant, you're a business person.
Without question.
You represent the companies that you have hired you, and you have to represent them to the best of your ability.
And I think that's so important because in reality, it doesn't make a difference where you work to me. If you work at McDonald's, you work at Popeyes, you work at IBM.
Extremely important.
It doesn't make a difference because whether it's Popeyes or IBM, Popeyes is a multi-million-dollar corporation.
Right. And what you are is just one person there, but that one person behind that register is representing all those hundreds and thousands of people standing behind them under that corporate umbrella.
Exactly.
We have to become very aware of that and act accordingly. And in these, like the McDonald's and the same places, it's the uniforms have to be pristine, the posture has to look good, the mannerisms. You're a salesperson.
Right.
You're standing at the register taking my money, you're selling me something.
Right.
Therefore, you have to own that job.
Right, because irrespective of the fact that I came in, because I could come in there, and people don't realize, they could come in, I don't care if it's Olive Garden. I want Olive Garden, I have a taste for it. But if I walk in there, and the service initially is not to my standard or to my liking, or if the person doesn't address me in just a suitable or courteous manner, or just a professional manner, I'm like, you know what? There's other restaurants in Manhattan, let me go look somewhere else. And that one person that could turn around, it's just one person. But what if that one person tells one person and one person, before you know it, one person can make a difference. We know this.
Yes, and this is a point that needs to be brought by these companies to their employees in an instructional manner. In a manner like, hey guys, let us help you represent us to the best of your ability.
Right.
That is it's not enough to give a person a uniform. It's not enough to put them in the situation. You have to help them know how to represent you, because it's not something that we get from TV and school now.
Right.
Everything goes. There's no standards that are imposed on students that make them have some place to go when they need a little extra to bring to the table.
Exactly.
So the employers have to stress how they want the employee to represent them.
It's almost like when you say owning your job, it's almost like for that 8 hours, that is your company.
Yes.
It is your company.
You represent that company. It could be a candy store on the corner. For the time you are there, you represent them. no matter the size, the name, or the importance of a company, no matter what they're selling, you represent them. You represent them to everybody that comes in contact with you.
Exactly, exactly. Now, the third component, and I know that's, that's definitely your heart throbbing right now because, as this year's progressing, you're saying this is really what you're putting a lot of emphasis on, and it's so important, especially since seeming like the ladies have to be the ones to hold the house down and hold the domestics down and hold the families down and the kids down, and I commend my women of all colors that have to hold it down. But topic 3 is women, business owners, and entrepreneurs. And the bullet points, redefining the sisterhood. A, business and the female perspective. B, seeing the glass as half full or half empty. I love that. And of course, C, developing a support system or network, and that's not including your family. That's external network and a support base. So let's talk about that. Let's spend some time on that area there.
Women are the fastest growing segment of our population as far as owning businesses. Mm-hmm. We know that they're the ones that are out there going to work, raising families, and doing the things that need to be done to hold a family together. Mm-hmm. Redefining the sisterhood is looking at getting your support and understanding from other women. Mm-hmm. Women in general are not taught to trust and love each other. It's the way the society is set up. But who is your best support when you're going through good and bad times? You call your girlfriend.
Your girlfriend, right.
It's your sisterhood. We need to understand that the sisterhood is something of core value to us. Mm-hmm. We all function with it, good, bad, or indifferent. It can be a negative, it can be a very positive, or it can be just neutral.
Right.
It is that support system that all women go to. I want to bring out how we look at the sisterhood and have trust and faith in it. But I mean, it's not something that you walk into a room and suddenly every woman is going to embrace each other. But let's sit down and start with our common denominator, which is our femininity.
Correct.
Work from there, because that, regardless of culture, color, religion, or educational status, makes us all sisters.
Yes.
We can build on that and learn to embrace the differences in each other and support each other and not be afraid and always think that we have to compete or this person is not in my cycle, she's a female.
Right.
The core is we are sisters because we are women. Mm-hmm. And that is so basic in our development, it's basic in how we got here. Mm-hmm. And I want to bring that out and make those safe places that women can get together and discuss their differences, which can be as, I don't like my neighbor, why don't I like my neighbor?
Right.
I have a company, it's been a rough week, and I don't have another woman that I can talk to about this week in business.
Okay. Now, next one, seeing the glass as half empty or half full. I mean, I think my entire life, I've always seen it as half full. And it's amazing before, you go into it. I remember about, maybe I'm gonna say 5 years ago, I was having a conversation with a young brother from our community. And, he's a smart brother and, he was strong, but he was definitely at least 10 years younger than me, or maybe a little more. And I said, we was talking about the glass half empty or glass full. And he was adamant about the fact that the glass, if it's half empty, it can't be half full. And I mean, we went on for half an hour. And he was like, I'm like, if it's half empty, then it has to be half full. He's like, no, it's not. It's half empty. I said, but if it's half empty, you still have half of it in the glass. He's like, no, you don't. It's half, and he just did not. And I was like, wow. And it just showed me that there are some people, if you see it as half empty, you might not reach that plateau in your life that you want. As opposed to seeing it as half full. Because half full, like, I'm almost there.
Exactly. You're rushing to your goal.
Right.
When it's half empty, you're fighting to stay afloat.
Right.
It's the negative and the positive attitudes. It's very easy to walk around being negative, looking at that half empty glass. But when we are positive, when we are looking at that half full glass, we always have something to achieve. I want to fill my glass.
Right.
I'm not looking, it's not going to be empty because I'm looking to fill it. Too many times, like you just said, you meet people brilliant, doing wonderful things, but their inner self is always half empty.
Right.
They never look to how full they can be, how rich it can be for them. They're always fighting against letting it get empty, which is such a waste of energy because you're fighting against the negative all the time instead of embracing the positive side about it.
Right.
That must have been one conversation.
I'm telling you, and it was he. I mean, and we were, you know, it was like his family, you know, and I was the only one that wasn't the family. I was happening to visit with my neighbors, and they were all like, what are you talking about? He like, nah, y'all all bugging. And I don't think he wanted to, from that conversation though, I think he garnered such a great level of respect for me because when I left, his aunt and him like, you were wrong, like half empty is half full. And I had a demonstration. I said, look at this beer can, look at this Corona bottle. I said, it's halfway, it's going. I said, now, somebody that likes beer, they drink half that bottle. It's still frosty. Are they done?
And they're still enjoying it.
They're still enjoying that beer. So if they were focused on the negative, it's half empty, it's half empty, I don't want any more. They're still gonna eat that, drink it. Why? Because it's not half, I still got half left.
Right.
So if you still have half left, then maybe subconsciously you have to recognize, then you still have half full.
Right. I think it's recognizing how happy we can be versus how sad we want to get. And we're all starting at the same line. Half full means I'm going to be happier and happier. And if it's half empty, I'm just going to be sadder and sadder and more negative and more negative.
Right. Now the last one is developing a support system or a network and not your family. So many times, you know, we recognize that when we're trying to accomplish our goals or get to certain places, it's definitely important and you want to have a support system that is your family, that foundation. I also learned in college, though, sometimes the family can be the paradox.
Exactly.
So that's why you want to have outside it because if your family hasn't accomplished it, just because they're relative, they might not necessarily want to support and encourage you. They might want you to stay where they are, you know. But outside people might want to see you prosper a little bit more than the person that's closest to you. Shouldn't be that way, but it is.
But I think you just said it. You have to have support. We all need support. Support is a core need of human being. Families will speak on one side, oh, we support you, we love you, and yet undermine everything you do.
Right.
There's others that they would do anything, lay down so you can stand on top of them to rise up.
What is that?
It's just the way families can be.
Amazing.
So, but if you don't look at your family truthfully in an honest light, and it's hard, you can't change your family. You can't then recognize that maybe I can love them and not get the support I need from them and go off and make those other connections, be they in business, in church, community, building up a network of people, friends, and associates that will give you a positive moment, give you positive and good feedback on what you're looking to do, your dreams, your ambitions, your aspirations. Whereas your family will still love you, but it's like you said, you can't depend on them for the support you need, be it emotional, financial, but you love them. You just know, okay, let's go somewhere else for this support. And we don't throw that out there. We don't speak on it. We think, that, especially in our community, that, you know, you got to be supportive of your family. You got to love your family, good, bad, or indifferent. But you don't have to be supportive of them because they're not necessarily going to be supportive of you. You don't kick them to the curb. You just leave them on the side of the sidewalk.
And I love it like that. And you still love them, and then when you get to the position, you bring them on, and hopefully they'll come on. I know it's time. I could sit here and talk to you for so long, and I'm enjoying it. But if you can, I want 60 seconds. Wrap up the most important top 3 things. If you're sitting in front of a class of college students, Ms. Ewell, what's the top 3 things we need to know when we walk out that door and go become that marketing entity?
One is that you are your marketing tool. It is you that represent you out there. You represent the companies you work for, the businesses that you are going out to seek. And you have to respect yourself as the tool that you are. You have to also look to expand your network and look for your support around you. not thinking that I can do this by myself.
Excellent. I want to thank you so much for being a guest on the show. Of course, my audience at home, we talk about it all the time. I say, you are your winner. You are what you want to become. It's totally up to you. If you believe that you are a success, then you are 100% correct. If you believe that you're not a success, you are 100% correct. But either way, it's all up to you. As I always say, I want you to be prosperous. I want you to be mindful, stay focused, believe in yourself, build your support system, understand marketing before you get into the game. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. You can reach out. You know, we have the Urban Wall Street Business Club that's internationally doing some amazing things. You check it out at urbanwallstreet.biz and check out my young producers. The kids are doing some amazing things. Youngproducers.tv. I want to thank my guest again, Mr. Elizabeth Ewell. I hope you enjoyed her segment. Until next time, peace.
Thank you.